feels like it happens in dating. Like, as far as like, everything's not good, everything's
right. My husband is like, so that doesn't seem good for 10 days.
I got some very different experiences. He said, like, synchronicities.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good
morning.
Whoa.
Welcome
Welcome to Unity Church of Boerne. I'm a little centered this morning. It's good to see you, but I center when I'm here. And so does everyone else in this wonderful place, the house of love. So far, each week you join us. We're glad you're here. We're in a place where we affirm and celebrate our oneness. We share for your love that binds us. The tide of appreciation and love. I invite you to stay tuned for the next hour. Be uplifted and feel the love. Presbyterians, also invite you to support our ministry. We can't do this without you. And you are able to give your food by pressing the page button at the bottom of your page. Right here, or you can send your gifts to Unity of Boerne, P.O. Box 1973, Boerne, Texas 78006. That's Unity of Boerne, P.O. Box 1973, Boerne, Texas 78006. Thank you for your loving support. And now, some of the look forward to you coming in person and give you a experience. Thank you for joining us this
morning. Good morning. My name is Mulkey. We're glad to have India Taylor with us again today to provide music. And I'm looking around and I don't see anybody that's here for the first time. But we're happy that all of you that did venture out in the cold are here. There's a prayer request inside your bulletin, and if you have a prayer request, we have a prayer box on the back table. And when it comes forward, you're welcome to drop it in then, or put it in after church, or put it in before church. So, anyway, we're going to start. I'm sorry. I missed the joy song. We're going to start with our joy song. Please stand. It's number 340, Joy in My Heart. I have the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Down in my heart, down in my heart, I have the joy, 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 down in my heart to stay. I have the peace that passes understanding down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart, I have the peace that passes understanding down in my heart.
That was too short. I was feeling it.
Chris, you have to read the daily word?
As we quietly and gently prepare for the reading of the daily word, we remember that we are in spirit with millions of daily word readers and churches throughout the world. The Christ candle is lit as a reminder of the Spirit of God within all of us, which we call the Christ within. The word for today is world peace. The affirmation is, I envision all people living in harmony. Sometimes I wonder about my place in a world that is changing so rapidly. I realize that many of the world's people may be wondering the same thing. change can feel scary, especially when I feel as though I have to navigate a shifting landscape alone. I expand my awareness and wonder whether others are feeling the way I do. Feeling fearful or insecure can overwhelm feelings of peace. As peace seems further and further away, it's easy to drift into isolation and discord. I pray, reclaiming peace by feeling my divine identity as a child of God. I remember that all people share this divine identity. I include all the world's people in my prayer, envisioning us coming together in harmony to create a peaceful world. From Hebrews 12:14. Pursue peace with everyone and the holiness without which no one will see God. My name is Chris. Thank you for worshiping with us today at Unity of Boerne.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. All right, if you will please stand, we will have, we'll say our congregational affirmation together.
Affirmation?
Yes.
Not there today.
Is it in your order of service?
There's no number.
No affirmation. Jay, you want to read the affirmation for us?
There is nothing in me that resists my good. I know that all wonderful things are mine, and I claim a new understanding of myself, which knows that I am mightier than circumstances and stronger than I ever thought possible. I recognize circumstances in my life as divine appointments designed to move me higher, to experience a grander and richer life. And so it is.
So it is.
Please remain standing. We'll say our opening prayer together. Is that on their phone?
Yes. For opening prayer?
We're singing this
Celebration.
Yeah.
celebration song.
This-
Oh, this says, I'm sorry.
There it is.
Okay.
Worship assistance thing. It says
Oh,
Unity of Boerne is a virus.
okay.
Yeah.
So we can do that and then the celebration song?
Yeah, I don't even.
Together we say Unity Church.
Boerne.
Vibrant, loving, spiritual community providing a sacred space for personal growth. We honor and celebrate the Christ within all people.
Sorry, our papers are a little out of whack today. Okay, so now the celebration song, number 247, and I'm going to go ahead and sit down because when it's finished, then Jay's going to finish up the service for us.
Onward, ever onward, marching evermore, with love's healing message ever to the fore. Truth our only standard, we can have no foe. Forward, ever forward, see love's banner grow.
At Unity of Boerne, we are a praying church. We live our prayers through the living love that we are. And right now, we invoke the presence of the Spirit and know that the will of the Spirit of love, life, infinite presence of God is being done in the lives of those who have prayer requests of joy, celebration, heartbreak, sorrow, the entire gamut of our human experience. We know, we affirm, perfect will is being done in the lives of these people right now. Infinite presence, we give thanks that we are able to come before you, making our requests known. We know your perfect will is done in the lives of these dear ones. We seek your blessings upon these individuals. And we know that love's healing way guides them, blesses them, upholds them. We give thanks that this is so. Amen.
Today's message song by Mark Stanton Welch is simply called Order. The song helps us to let go of assumptions about how we think our lives are supposed to be, and to accept our lives and to see the divine perfection at work in them. A single breath, a single cry, open hearts, open eyes, slipping into life. Hello world, moving on, then moving away, bit by bit, day by day, lost and walk through the world. As seed must come before the sprout, as breath must come before the shout, as food precedes the smallest growth, belief must come before the oath, as will prepares the hands to move, awareness brings the self-improve. As this universe unfolds, so do I. Step by step, A to B, everything, yes, you and me, traveling this path so divine. Never dying, facing fear, trusting process, staying clear. Life is what it is, so divine. As seed must come before the sprout, as breath must come before the shout, as food precedes the smallest growth, belief must come before the oath, as will prepares the hands to move, awareness brings the self-improve. As this universe unfolds, so do I. Let me follow what I know is mine. Let me follow what I am inside. Let me follow what I know is mine. Let me follow what I am inside. As seed must come before the sprout, as breath must come before the shout, as food precedes the smallest growth, belief must come before the oath, as will prepares the hands to move, awareness brings the self-improve. As this universe unfolds, so do I. So do
Good morning. Good morning. My pleasure to be with you as always. And I welcome you to the house that love built. We don't have any visitors this morning, but I know all of us always feel it when we walk through the door. This morning I'd like to talk to you about what have you got to lose? We've heard that saying over and over again in our lives, and I think it's important when we consider the idea that life sometimes we think is a process of gaining and adding to what we already have, but I also think it's important that we realize that there are certain things that we're better off without. What have you got to lose? What do I have to lose this morning? What is it that has been in my life that may have unwittingly slowed me down or kept me from expressing at the level that I want to express? I remember way back in my life, my father and mother saying to me, lose the attitude. Lose this idea that you're going to do what you think you're going to do. You're going to come with us and you're going to like it. You know, that was the way it was. And then when I became a father, a stepfather, I had to look at one of my stepdaughters sometimes and say, you need to lose the attitude. I'm sure you all have seen what I saw a great deal as a stepfather. I remember I was doing an installation service at a Unity church that was in the north part of Texas, and we were all getting ready to go. My wife and some of my family, and it was kind of a big deal. And I looked at my youngest, who was 13 at the time, and I said, you coming too? And I got this. In the eye roll. This had happened a few times before, and she said, Jay, I live with you. I hear all this stuff you say all the time. And I said, geez, the prophet's not with honor in their own house. But I realized that that is part of teenagedom. And I did it myself in my way to my father and mother. It's just part of the things that are being a father, being a stepfather, whatever. Because also she did lovely, sweet things like help me with Adobe and Acrobat, my stepdaughter, when I didn't know what I was doing. So losing the attitude is what I want to talk about this morning. Losing the things that hold us back. Losing the things that we know keep us from a fuller and richer life. As I walked through my life, I remember times that I stepped on my own toes because I wasn't willing to forgive and let go of certain things that were not for my good. I had the idea when I was in high school that I was going to be a pro quarterback. After all, I had made the squad, and it had been that dream or the dream of being an airline pilot at the age of 16. And really, how many people consult somebody at the age of 16 for career advice? And yet we expect us to have decided what we want to do at that tender age, 16, 17, 18. But it was my idea that I wanted to be a pro quarterback. I love the game. And I got into it, and I got knocked around a little bit, and all of a sudden I realized I was pretty good, but I wasn't the stuff of which scouts were made. And it wasn't going to be a dream that I was willing to pursue. I wanted to go out and make some money and get into business. I had a lot of conflicting ideas at the time. I had to lose some things, even at that young age, that I thought were so important as a child in order to step into what my young adulthood was calling me to be. And I think all of us have had similar ideas. How many of us are today what we decided we wanted to be at 7, 8, 9, and 10? Those generally are child's dreams. We generally have the ideas come to us and kind of coalesce when we're 19, 20. We get a general idea of what we want to do, and then we even can change our ideas and our careers many times through our lives. I think all of us know that the days of working at one place for 30, 40, even 50 years and collecting a pension are over. We're called to reinvent ourselves. The world calls on us to do that. We are so many times in this world a product that we need to sell. And that when we come back from that interaction, we think we're a product we need to sell to ourselves. Lose that idea. Love yourself enough to realize that you will be led in the ways that you need to go by the Spirit that is within you. And you are more than what you do. Because if you are what you do, then when you don't, you aren't. And so many people suffer at the age of retirement because they have been used to a certain schedule all these many years, and then all of a sudden they have all this time that they dreamed of, but then they wish the phone would ring. Or they wish that somebody would give them a call or ask for advice. In my case, I'm not at that age yet, but I'm to the point right now where I miss my stepdaughter giving me the eye roll. And those times where she put her hand on her hip and said, Jay, you're full of it. You know, all this is part of what we see in retrospect. We don't appreciate it at the time. It's through the lens of memory that we see these events, and maybe I'm conflating them a bit, but I miss those times when I was stepfather and she was 9, 10, 11, 12. I had 4 stepchildren, but 2 that lived with me. And I hope that I was a good example of what I talk about, because I know that I try to do this at home all the time. And many times I would just retreat into a silent part of the house so I could meditate, get ready for messages, and get some quiet. And lose the idea of whatever it was at that time, lose the idea of my human self and tune into my divine self. Now, what I want to talk about this morning especially is this schism that we seem to have inside ourselves sometimes. We have what we call our higher self and we have the lower self, the ego. And these two seem to be in competition with one another all the time. And we know, those of us who are on the spiritual path, that the more we release the egoic ideals about ourselves and embrace this higher self, the better life will work. But the world challenges us with so many things outside. It tells us to do this, be this, do this, don't do that. And we feel like we're buffeted by circumstance. I'm talking this morning about losing the egoic ideal to stand on the truth of your being. To lose those things that are lesser so you can have the greater. For example, the I ams. And we all know about I am. And we know how important it is in metaphysics. Whatever we follow I am with is a truth for us. Even if we say it in an offhanded way. I am not good at this. I am feeling badly. I am fill in the blank. We want to call those things that are not seen as if they were, and they become that way through the law of our being. Sometimes sooner, sometimes later, but the person we become in the process of letting go the lesser is more important than anything we're affirming out there about getting something. That sounded awkward. Let me explain a little more. What we lose in meditation and contemplation and visualization, the ideas of our lesser selves, what we lose, we gain far more by just the act of intention to be a different way. It matters little to me what happens on the outside. It's what I become on the inside when I face those things that are on the outside. All of us have things inside us we need to lose, triggers and ideas about ourselves that make us feel as if we are less than. We are never less than. We're never less than because a theologian, a minister, a counselor, a teacher, a parent says we are. We are always whole and complete. And we have to embrace that even though the worst go before us and even though we hear people say, you're not this or you're not that. The person whose opinion that matters is yours. But so many times we make these opinions about ourselves with limited and faulty information about what used to be, what could have been, what would have been, what should have been, if only. And the if onlys drag us down. If only I had bought some Apple stock in 96, I'd be 7 billion times richer. You see, the if onlys can drive you nuts. You can't live in the past. You can only live in right now and affirm a future that is of your heart's desire. And when you do that, you're crafting it first in your mind, and then you will see it in large part in your life experience. So what do you have to lose to get the greater life? The first thing is the big N, negativity. And we know what it is, even if we don't verbalize it, we know how we feel when we're negative, and it hurts. But sometimes the ego screams out so loudly for attention to say, see, you're right, you told him so, you told her so, you told him so, that feels good for a moment. It's a flash of adrenaline that is, for the moment, the idea of feeling right. But we pay a price for it in fatigue and feeling like we're moving through life not in the vibration with a Tao, so to speak, the way, the flow. And being in the flow of life is very, very important in our spiritual journey. To flow, to go with the flow, you've heard that. That means that you are against nothing and you are for what you want to see happen in your life. Peace is the cessation of againstness. And I say what we're against weakens us, and what we're for empowers us. That's why angry people tend to gather more angry people to them. Happy people, like I know we all are here, tend to gather more people towards us. We do it right here online every Sunday. We have people that are tuning in from all over the United States because they see an example in this church of the happy ideals and the self-transformation and the way that we affirm our lives. And it's done through this message, it's done through what you do in this church, it's done through all the ministries we offer. What I do is a small part of what Unity of Boerne is. It's an experience. Excuse me, it's a wonderful experience. And those of you that I spoke to this morning before the service started, I invite you to be here if and when you're able. It is a wonderful experience to be part of Unity of Boerne. So we lose the big end, we lose the negativity, and I think we all know what that is. And we write it down sometimes on a piece of paper. I've done that. We talk to a friend. We ask somebody, where can I come up higher? What do you think of me? And be careful. Sometimes your friend's a little passive aggressive. They're going to tell you more maybe you want to know. I've heard it when I've asked questions of somebody, particularly when I really needed to know something. I heard back not only what I wanted to hear, but things about myself that I wasn't even aware of. And I realized that's something that I had picked up in my life and I was repeating, and I didn't want it to happen. The subconscious never sleeps, and the power within us is at our disposal, and it says, how will you create your life? What will you have? It's as if a genie stands inside us and says, this is the power for you. What will you do with it? And some people decide that they're going to live in this negativity and they're going to make an identity out of that. And then before you know it, their lives don't work. And then they're at some place, somebody or group of somebody saying, how do I live? How do I get well? How do I do better? They buy the prescription of those folks. They're not true to themselves. And before you know it, they're off being inauthentic because they have been afraid to go inside and look and say, where can I come up higher? And it's about this that we teach our principles. Our principles are based on the idea that God is good, that our thoughts create our experiences, that prayer changes things, and that we're to live that out in our daily lives. And as we do this, as we commit and recommit, it becomes a habit. And habits take on, of course, lives of their own, just as the negative ideas about ourselves take on their own life. And sometimes we walk in between those two, all being human. There's a lower self, higher self, and sometimes we can be both, and sometimes in the matter of a few days, sometimes in the matter of a few minutes, we can be all over the place. That's why centering meditation is so important, and we're going to do that after this message is over. Centering in the ground of your being and who you really are. I know that during this time it's a challenge to remain positive. As I said last week, the news tells us all the time how bad everything is and how much we should worry, how long we should worry, and really worry without end. Amen. And I say, as I said last week, turn it off and get a new idea about yourself and live out that truth for your own good, for your good. The individual to me is very, very important. There is no such thing as a collective brain. There is a collective mind, but there's an individual brain. And in that, you have your individual impulses through spirit. And you go out and make the world better for you by the decisions you make. I'm just here to help you, assist you, hopefully in the idea of getting a better idea, a bigger and grander one than you may now have. If you have addiction problems, what do you want to lose but the idea that you need a substance to get through the day or night? If you have weight issues, you have to lose the idea that you need extra calories to make you feel secure and safe. We could go through the whole gamut of human happenings about what we need to lose. And I'll tell you the very first thing that you have to lose, no matter what you're facing, no matter what you're going through, no matter what the problem, is the idea that you're not equal to what you want to have happen in your life. You get a bigger concept of yourself by the thoughts you think, especially those that you repeat over and over again. That's why affirmations are so important. To affirm those things that you want to see, to call those things by faith. And faith really is the way we live. We live, move, and have our being in this power, this wonderful power, and that makes us wonderful. But we get the idea from the outside so many times that we're less than, and that we don't have this power to change our lives, and that we need somebody to assist us, a guru, a guide, somebody besides myself, because after all, I got myself into the mess I'm trying to get rid of. It's my own thinking that did it, and I need something or somebody else to tell me. What you need to do is go inside and listen to your highest self. Meditation is a big part of the spiritual practice. The Buddha was asked, what have you gained in meditation? And Buddha said, nothing, but I've lost anxiety, depression, negativity, fear of old age, and fear of death. So you see, sometimes the things that you lose can be just as important as the things that you gain. Losing an identity, that's a big one. We spend our lives creating an identity, the sort of person I am, the idea that I want to present to the world. But is it right? Is it truly a reflection of your highest and best, or are you buying into something that somebody told you about who you should be, how you should be, and how you should live? Certainly we're open to feedback. Certainly we listen to people, especially those that we know have our good at heart, that love us, that care about us. But so many times there are people who want us to be cutouts of what they are, because there's strength in numbers, right? If you get a bunch of folks together that feel the same way about each other, there's sometimes a feeling of strength, even though it may be weakness upon which they're standing. Look at a group of people that are against something. See the anger in their faces, the judgment, all those attendant negativities. And we say, I don't really want to be against anything. I would rather state what I'm for, because I would rather be happy in the process. You know, you can pursue your goals in a happy way. You can change yourself and change your life in a happy way, not slave driving yourself, not whipping yourself and beating yourself up with condemnation. You're able to do it because you make a decision to agree with the principle that you are the universe. You are the universe expressing itself at the point you are right now. Think about that. The circumference of the whole world, and at this point of you, expressing. That's the universe expressing. And what do you want to express with this mighty power that's yours night and day? If I'm honest with myself, I want to lose the idea that I'm less than anything than what the truth has said about me, what Christ Jesus said about me. I want to lose those ideas. I want to lose the ideas from the past that hold me back, that maybe even haunt my dreams, that make me feel like by thinking hard enough and long enough, I can actually go back and do something about what's already been done. The only thing that I can do is forgive myself, ask others for forgiveness if I need to, and realize that the Spirit, the ever living, ever loving, ever present Spirit never blamed me for a moment. It loves me. It heals me when I allow it. When I remove the blocks to love's presence. That's a big one. Removing the blocks to love's presence. What is it in me that resists? Why can't I get up in the morning and say, this is the day the Lord has made. I'll rejoice and be glad in it. I'll be happy. What is it in me that's saying I can't do that? And what voice am I listening to? And why did I allow myself to think that way? And why did I believe the person or persons who told me that? You see, in a roundabout way this morning, I'm trying to let you know that life ultimately is a do-it-yourself project. You can get all the advice and the ideas from everybody that you deign to ask. But you're always brought back to yourself. You have to make a decision about what you're going to do and what you're going to be. And I want you to know that no matter where you are this morning and what shape you're in this morning, you are enough and whole as you are right now. And you can grow. I am the God presence expressing through me, and I am willing to release the lesser and embrace the greater. That's a great place to start. And when you do that, all of a sudden it feels lighter inside. If you don't think so, try it. Start saying a few I ams. I am strong, I am confident, I am capable, I am healthy. I have the power to accomplish what I want. Begin saying that enough and see how you feel lifted no matter what your circumstances are. And I don't mean to make light of anybody's circumstances this morning. I know through the gamut of human experiences we are called on to sometimes go through things that test the very fiber of our being. But the very fiber of our being is God's stuff. You are God's stuff. You are the thing itself, as Ernest Holmes says. You are your world as far as you're concerned. What do you want in it? What do you want to attract to it? What do you want to have this time next week, next month, and next year? And it's going to come by the thoughts that you entertain about yourself and your life right now. I submit to you, not only losing negativity, but losing the self-image that comes from negativity. Because anything that we harbor on the inside eventually has to find expression on the outside. If I say, I am no good at, or I don't like, or fill in the blanks, whatever it may be, that's going to show by me saying to the world, or to anybody that's nearby, I'm not able to do this, I'm not good. For example, I'm not good at cards, I'm not good at games, I'm not good at this kind of work, I'm not good. All this and you don't know that you really are not suited for that because you haven't given yourself a chance first in your own mind. That's why visualization is so important. It lets you get into the picture, into the flow first in your mind, and then you get used to that. These ideas, this visualizations long enough, and before you know it, you're walking in that in your life on the outside. You see how important the individual is in this journey, but also being aware you're part of the great oneness, the oneness with a capital O. You have a special mission to fulfill that only you can do. Richard Bach said it well. Here's a way to find if your life on earth is complete. If you're still here, it isn't. There's things for you to do. There's always things to overcome, because that's part of the nature of what we are and where we are. But whose we are and who we affirm ourselves to be, that's the secret to embracing the richer, fuller, better life. So we release negativity. We have a self-image that changes because we start changing our thoughts about who we are. And the next thing, and perhaps the most important thing we do, is we forgive. We forgive ourselves for thinking that we were less than. We forgive ourselves for thinking others were less than. Because what we think about ourselves, I should say, we can't go higher about thinking about those outside of us than we will allow ourselves to think about ourselves. In other words, we're going to treat others the same way we treat ourselves. So we get a new idea, a new impression, and we walk higher in a different way, in a different mindset. The forgiveness of events, the forgiveness of parents, of teachers, of those that have hurt us, sometimes on purpose and sometimes, more times than not, inadvertently. But we took those ideas and they found resonance and a consonance in our minds, and before you know it, we believed it. Today we can stop believing that. We can stop by an act of will. There's very, I should say, there is extreme power in your will. The willingness and the will. The willingness to say, I was wrong about myself or about someone or some of it, and I will do this in the future. Will is one of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore wrote about in Unity. Will is the very essence of your ability to be able to change your idea about yourself. So the willingness to forgive creates the ability to forgive. And when you have forgiven yourself and you've forgiven others, then you've sort of wiped your mental slate clean and you're ready to walk into newness of life. Events are the language of the universe. What do you want to say to this world? Because what you say and what you give out is what comes back to you in large measure. So when you're entertaining an idea about yourself, or you know that you need to forgive something, or you know that you can come up higher, or you know it can be different, think about what you're thinking about. Don't sell yourself short. Don't say, I can't, when you've never tried. Give yourself a shot at this thing called life. So, your self-image, the negativity, and forgiveness. These are things that give you the ability to lose the lesser things and embrace the greater things. I hope for you this morning, my prayer for you this morning is that you get a grander idea of who and what you are. And that you lose any ideas that you have that you're not good enough, worthy enough, competent enough, you fill in the blanks. You're in a place where we affirm every week your ability to be who you are, be a grander version of yourself, and to go out and make a difference in this world. And those who make a difference in this world are those who are willing to stand in the integrity of their being, having looked at themselves and their motives, and say very clearly, this is my truth, and this is how I intend to live it, and go out and do it. We can talk about it a lot. We can have words that fill up pages and books about the ideas of what we are and what we're not. But one step in the right direction is worth all the words that can be said about it. The idea of get up and get moving, first inside yourself, and then as your spirit leads you in the outer. Forgiving yourself always, knowing that you're on a journey, a divine journey, and your personhood is unfolding, and you're learning more about you as you go, and you're teaching more about who you are to the rest of us. The boats rise and they sink in the same water as the water of our souls. Does it uplift us? Is it moving? Is it vital? Is it going somewhere? Or is it stagnant? And are we sitting where we've always sat and bemoaning and bewailing our fate? This morning, I ask you to get a new idea about yourself and ask yourself what you've got to lose, really. When you get down to it, what have you got to lose? What's holding you back from the life more abundant? And then when you get that question answered, you can say, what have I got to lose for trying to live in a new way? For being willing, for taking that first step, and for knowing that you truly never walk alone, and that the truth is with you, the God presence is for you, and you're in a place where we celebrate growth, where we celebrate the Christ within, who came to bring newness of life, life more abundant, and show you the kingdom was truly inside you. That's where the answers are. All you have to do is be willing to walk back inside, take back your power, affirm your presence, the God presence, and live that out. I give thanks this morning for all of you. You empower and uplift me, and I hope I am able to do the same for you. Unity of Boerne has some great things that are coming. I know because I remember sitting back a couple of years ago when this whole thing started, and I thought, how can we make our outreach greater? And we have. We have through Pathlighters, through the numerous ministerial areas of ministry that we offer here. So I also have an idea this morning of being rededicated to our growth and seeing us come out of all that's going on right now into a richer, bigger, grander life as individuals and as a church. I bless you on your way. I send you all the wonderful, loving energy I can as you decide to lose those things that weigh you down and keep you how you maybe not want to be. Losing that and deciding on a new direction. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. In our meditation this morning, I'd like to try something that is really centering, and the idea about knowing who you are. We take a moment to take a deep breath and know where we are. Of course, we know where we are, but we are aware in a new way. Our feet are on the floor, perhaps our hands are in our laps. We take a deep breath. We come into that place where the knower in us, the one who never leaves us, we are in this presence. We feel ourselves in a calm loving way. Accept the presence that surrounds us. And we know that in the truth of our being, we are enough. There's nothing that we can do to add to our stature spiritually. We are God expressing. And we are willing in this sacred and holy space that we occupy to release those things that we know are not for our ultimate good. And allow a new inflow of ideas. In this sacred space, health of mind and body and emotion is ours. As we conform ourselves to the way, we find the way readily conforms itself to us. It readily lends its power. We are integrated and whole inside. We know that all is in one, and the one is in all, and there's nothing to fear. Any ideas about lack or limitation or loss are replaced by the divine ideas of abundance, prosperity, health, radiant health. As we sit in this holy space, we take abundantly of healing that we need, whether it's of mind, body, or emotion. The power and the presence that is within us remakes us and renews us right now. It's ever present. In this sacred space, we forgive those that we believe have harmed us. We forgive ourselves for holding on to those ideas. We accept radiant new light. Feel those things that are not for us, that we need to lose in order to gain life abundant. We feel them fall away right now. A new vision, a new idea about us is right there. Peace of mind, heart, soul is ours for the recognition. We are made new. We're not afraid to lose those things that are not for our good. As Spirit tells us and shows us gently what we can be, but most importantly, what we already are. Living, loving expressions of the one who never leaves nor forsakes us. We give thanks for this time of recreation, and we know it truly is done to us as we believe. We take another deep breath and assimilate these truths and express as loving light, embracing all the good that we can imagine. And giving thanks for this precious time. And so it is. Amen. One of the things that we celebrate here at Unity of Boerne is the law, the blessed law of giving and receiving, sowing and reaping, knowing that as we give of our time, our talent, our treasure, it is returned to us. The blessed law of life, that of abundance. And I ask you this morning to give your best gift, to realize that we exist through your free will tithes, donations, and offerings. And know that as you give, you receive. Can I have, thank you. Together we say our blessing of our tithes and offerings. Divine love
through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I send it forth with my blessings and my love.
So it is. see, the light of
God
God
surrounds
surrounds us.
us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Namaste.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us
yeah.
here at Unity of Boerne, and we're looking forward to seeing you at our next opportunity, and precisely at the one crossing of our paths. Have a wonderful day. Thanks again for joining our Sunday.
Using your,